Hi, my name is Ben Solis, and I'm the opinion editor of Central Michigan Life, and I'm joined here today with Jordyn Hermani, the news editor. Hi, Jordyn. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. And today we're obviously knee-deep in election coverage. We are going to be covering the presidential election as well as some local elections all night, so you can stay tuned with us on CMLife.com and also some of our social media feeds like Twitter and Facebook. But getting right into it, what we're watching tonight are a couple of different very specific things. First, locally, we have the 99th District congressional seat that's open. So I'm covering that tonight, so stay tuned with me to get any more information on it. But we basically have two candidates running to fill an open seat left by Speaker of the House Kevin Cotter in the Michigan House of Representatives. So there's going to be a really hot race. Both candidates have had awesome ground games, reaching out to voters, knocking on doors, things like that, especially with young people here in Mount Pleasant.
We've been very mobile recently, especially around apartment complexes. Roger Houck, I know, has gained an endorsement from United Apartments. I know I'm just living over there, especially. I've seen a vast increase of signage as we've drawn closer to the election.
Yeah, so they're definitely working as hard as they can to make sure that, they win, obviously. But my analysis is that I don't think Brian Melke's going to win. If you look at the demographics of what this congressional district is, it's a lot of rural folk. The students of Mount Pleasant and Central Michigan University can do as much as they want to get out the vote. But this is a Republican stronghold, and I just don't see this flipping red anytime soon. What do you think?
I think it's especially hard as probably the liberal demographic is situated more around the university, and most students aren't registered here to vote anyways. I happen to be just out of honestly an error of registering when I was a freshman. But yeah, I think the main of the Democratic support, we haven't seen this county flip from red in a very long time. So I think it would take a lot for Brian Melke to be elected. The verdict is still out, though, obviously.
Surely. And the two candidates, again, if we didn't mention it before, are Roger Houck, who's a Republican, and Brian Melke, former Union Township supervisor, who is the Democrat in the race. So there's that. We'll see what's going on with that. Be surprised if it does turn blue. Then we do have some proposals on the ballot, too, here locally, and Jordyn knows a little bit about that, so I'm going to turn this over to her now.
Well, two of the proposals that are up for the Isabella County race right now there is a senior millage commission. I'm sorry, there's a senior millage up. It is a $1.5 million sort of stipend, if you will, for senior services around the Mount Pleasant and Isabella County area. Just from attending city commission meetings, it seems a little bit of a point of contention. The way that the millage is written, it says that senior services will have up to $1.5 million should city commission allow it. And so that up to kind of part seems to be really where people are being stuck as, do we fully fund it? Do we partially fund it? And that's going to be a decision where, if this is approved, that will be decided later moving forward with the millage. The second millage, however, proposal on the ballot is a 911 surcharge increase. In essence, what it would be is that we would increase funding towards 911 services. This seems to be something that pretty much everybody, regardless of political affiliation, has been behind. There was a strong push for it a couple of city commission meetings a few weeks ago. And it just really seems like something that 911 just seems like a service that everybody obviously can utilize, does utilize. And from what I've just been talking to from people on the street, they all just kind of agree it would be silly not to increase funding towards 911 services.
We're talking about a vital service that will help people get emergency care or, police activity really quickly if you need it. So I see that passing as well, too. And you bring up a good point about the iffy nature of whether the senior services are going to be fully funded or not. I could see a lot of people in town saying, well, if we're not going to fully fund it, why even bother with it? So watch that. We'll see what happens there. And then now, obviously, we have the big game tonight. The big game is the presidential election, which we're watching extremely closely. In our newsroom, we actually have 3 TVs set up, so we're keeping track of everything we can. But the big things to watch tonight are not only our own state, which is now suddenly in contention, but other states like Florida and Nevada in specific. When we talk about our state, it seemed like throughout most of the election, through most of the campaign, that Michigan was a sure bet for Hillary Clinton. It has been in blue on every electoral map we've seen up until last week, when things started getting more toss-up, and there's a big push now for the Trump campaign. Their ground game is pretty solid here within the last week as well, to turn this typically blue Union state red. I'm not sure what that means for us. I know that personally, from my area, I'm from Wayne County. That's going to be a blue stronghold, but a lot of the state is red. You talk about Grand Rapids, the west side, and a lot of the northern rural areas. If enough of those people turn out to vote, it could flip red. What do you think, Jordyn?
Well, you do have to remember in the primaries, Hillary Clinton didn't even win Michigan. It was Bernie Sanders that did, with Sanders out of the race. And I know a lot of millennials, this being their first time voting, I've just been hearing from people around the school area, from friends that, they've been disenfranchised from not being able to see their candidate take the Democratic nomination. So they're either not voting or voting third party. Trump did win the Michigan primaries.
Handily, too.
Very much so. Yeah. And to sort of see that moving forward, that could be a big problem for Clinton to not only not win the state in the primaries, but to go forward and potentially not win Michigan at all.
And I don't see it happening personally. I think it's going to go blue, but we've been wrong on these things before, not just us, but all the polls. So we'll have to decide what we're going to do. Next, it doesn't really concern us as much, but it does in the long game. Florida and Nevada. This is particularly interesting because both of these states were leaning blue through most of the election season. They weren't solid blue, but they were leaning blue. Now they're solid toss-ups. They're basically tied, and Trump is actually leading in Nevada. The interesting thing here is to watch the early voting patterns. Almost all the coverage I've seen of early voting so far shows a huge surge in Latino voting in both Florida and Nevada. And that could be Trump's Achilles heel for obvious reasons. Most of his campaign was built on building a wall against Mexico, starting trade wars with Mexico, things like that. Of course, all the other rhetoric that was said, which I won't get into. But it really is going to depend on those Latino voters, on whether Clinton is going to actually turn those blue. If without that Latino support, I don't see it happening either way.
I mean, yeah, you also have to look at, once again, I hate to bring it up, but the third-party voting out specifically towards Nevada. You have, Utah over in that area. There's a large, sort of more conservative voting base that won't vote for Hillary Clinton. Trump seems almost way too just out of the realm of possibility for them. So they're eyeing up the third-party candidate. I believe his name is Evan McMillan. And he kind of seems to be what could be stopping Trump from getting votes in that area, in which case we'd see the third party kind of take votes away from the Republican Party. So third party candidates have kind of become not necessarily a focal point, but made it so that it could be anybody's game with taking, I don't want to say the words taking votes from, but votes that could potentially go towards Democrats or Republicans are now going towards third parties because people are aware of the fact that there are more than two options.
Absolutely, and plus you got to look into that. Nevada is close enough to New Mexico where Gary Johnson might have some play there. Obviously, you bring up Evan McMillan, who is a Mormon from Utah, so he most likely will win Utah as well. If that can carry over across state lines, then we have a third-party candidate winning a state. Until we have any more conclusive election results, stay tuned with us and we'll let you know. This has been kind of an interesting experience for all of us, so we hope that you hang in tight with us for the rest of the night. Thank you very much.